Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Shakespeare & Company for an evening of poetry celebrating the publication of Le Corps des Hommes, a bilingual edition of Andrew McMillan's multi-award-winning debut collection, Physical, translated into French by acclaimed writer Philippe Besson. Et pour les Français, dans le public, bonsoir et bienvenue à Shakespeare & Company pour notre célébration de la publication du livre Le Corps des Hommes, une édition bilingue du premier recueil de poésie de Andrew McMillan, traduit par l'écrivain Philippe Besson. Le Corps des Hommes is a nakedly passionate collection, a paean to the male body that celebrates flesh and desire in all their complex manifestations, documenting, to borrow Macmillan's own turn of phrase from his poem The Men Are Weeping in the Gym, the thousands of tiny fracturings needed to build something stronger. Throughout the collection, Macmillan somehow manages to be both combative and tender, both electrifyingly carnal, yet remaining all the while vulnerable and contemplative. His poems ask questions about what it is to be a man today. A gay man, perhaps first and foremost, but Macmillan consistently transcends any pigeonhole critics might try to confine him to. As Helen Mort said, Physical is alive with subtle reflections on masculinity, love and loss, a record of how we forget ourselves and how we remember. It will captivate and change you. Plutôt de me répéter, je donne la parole au journal suisse Le Temps, qui a écrit « Qu'est-ce qu'être vivant, avoir un corps, être un homme au début du XXIe siècle? Qu'est-ce que aimer, désirer, se séparer ?» En guise de réponse, Andrew McMillan offre ses 25 textes émouvants, vivants et touchés par la grâce, pour qu'ils nous aident à tenir bon. Andrew McMillan was born in South Yorkshire in 1988. Physical was the first ever poetry collection to win the Guardian First Book Award. The collection also won the Fenton Aldeburgh Prize, a Somerset Maugham Award, an Eric Gregory Award and a Northern Writers Award. It was shortlisted for the Dylan Thomas Prize, the Costa Poetry Award, the Sunday Times Young Writer of the Year 2016, the Forward Prize for Best First Collection, the Roehampton Poetry Prize and the Polari First Book Prize. His second collection, Playtime, will be published this summer. He's a senior lecturer at Manchester University School at MMU. Andrew McMillan est né dans le Yorkshire en 1988. Il enseigne l'écriture à Manchester Metropolitan University. Le Corps des Hommes a reçu de nombreuses distinctions en Grande-Bretagne, dont le prestigious Guardian First Book Award, décerné pour la première fois à une œuvre poétique. Tonight, the poems will be read in English by Andrew McMillan and in French by the novelist and Andrew's editor at Editions Grasset, Jean Materne. Ce soir, les poèmes seraient lus en anglais par Andrew McMillan et en français par Jean Materne. In the poem Choke, Macmillan writes, I became aware of the mechanics of my own body, could feel parts of myself that would usually go unnoticed. This revelatory debut has the very same effect on readers lucky enough to encounter it. Please welcome Andrew McMillan and Jean Materne to Shakespeare & Company.
Thank you. Bonjour. Choke. Isn't this how the best of it should be? Taking the body to the point at which it almost breaks, and then returning, having had your faith restored in the miraculous fragility of the self. The night I almost ended us, it was your sobbing brought me back. We talked ourselves together and the next day, still wearing your hand around my neck, I found I was struggling to swallow. Every mouthful was a labour. I became aware of the mechanics of my own body, could feel parts of myself that would usually go unnoticed. After your hand had been on my throat, I learnt the pleasure in possessing capacities that are never quite fulfilled, almost being broken, almost leaving, but deciding to tough it out.
Suffoquer, ne devrait-il pas toujours en être ainsi? Étreindre un corps jusqu'à ce qu'il se brise, presque, et puis se rendre, ayant regagné la confiance dans la fragilité miraculeuse de l'être. La nuit où j'ai failli mettre fin à notre histoire, ce sont tes sanglots qui m'ont fait reculer. Nous nous sommes livrés l'un à l'autre, et le jour d'après, ta main encore serrée autour de mon cou, Je me suis rendu compte que je luttais pour déglutir. Chaque gorgée de salive était un effort. J'ai pris conscience de la mécanique de mon propre corps, puis ressentir des fragments de mon être habituellement ignorés. Avec ta main sur ma gorge, j'ai découvert le plaisir de posséder des facultés jusque-là quasiment jamais employées, alors que j'étais presque brisé, presque parti, j'ai décidé de tenir bon.
And so, as the introduction said, a lot of the poems in Physical are really about masculinity, about what it kind of is to be a man, I guess, in this day and age. And I don't know what it's like in France, but in England, the way to kind of understand masculinity is to go and watch straight men attempt to talk to each other in a gym when they're kind of working out, and that kind of awkwardness. And so I wrote this poem that's called The Men Are Weeping in the Gym. The men are weeping in the gym, using the hand dryer to cover their sobs. Their hearts have grown too big for their chests. Their chests have grown too big for their shirts. They are dressed like kids who have forgotten their games kit. They are crying in the toilet, and because they have built themselves as statues, this must mean that God has entered them. They are wringing their faces like sweat towels in the sink. Their veins are about to burst their banks. They are flooding out of themselves onto the tiles. They have turned water into protein shakes. They have got too close to the mirrors. They have got too close to the glass, and now they are laying in the broken pools of their own faces, the lines of them at the decline press, the bicep curl, waiting, staring straight ahead, swearing that the wetness on their cheeks is perspiration, that the words they mutter as they lift are meaningless, that they feel nothing when the muscle tears itself from itself, that they don't hear the thousands of tiny fracturings needed to build something stronger.
Les hommes pleurent à la salle de sport. Les hommes pleurent à la salle de sport, déclenchent le sèche-main pour couvrir leurs sanglots. Leurs cœurs sont devenus trop lourds pour leurs torses sont devenus trop larges pour leurs t-shirts. Ils s'habillent comme des gamins qui auraient oublié d'apporter leur tenue pour l'entraînement. Ils pleurent dans les toilettes, et puisqu'ils ont bâti leur carrure sur le modèle des statues, cela doit vouloir dire que Dieu est entré en eux. Ils sèchent leur visage comme on essore une serviette humide au-dessus d'un lavabo. Leurs veines sont sur le point de sortir de leur lit. Le sang de se répandre sur le carrelage. Ils ont changé l'eau en milkshake protéiné. Ils se sont approchés trop près des miroirs. Ils se sont approchés trop près du verre. Et maintenant, ils gisent dans les flaques troubles de leur propre visage, leurs rides, alternant développé couché et flexion des biceps, regardant, fixant, droit devant, jurant que les larmes sur leurs joues ne sont que de la sueur, que les paroles murmurées quand ils soulèvent la fonte ne signifient rien, qu'ils ne ressentent rien quand leurs muscles se déchirent, qu'ils n'entendent pas les milliers de petites fractures nécessaires pour devenir plus forts.
Strongman. My nephew asks if I can bench press him. His mother's new lover can and often does. My nephew who once said my boyfriend was illegal. My nephew with his dad's voice and jaw. My nephew who now protests I had my hand on his balls for the first attempt. I try again. Let both his wicket legs rest against one palm. Put my other to his heart and push. Because what is masculinity if not taking the weight of a boy and straining it from oneself? Here we are, a man holding a boy above him, horizontal like an offering to the Artex ceiling. Not even a minor Greek would see us fit to sculpt.
Colosse. Mon neveu me demande si je peux le soulever au développé couché. Le nouveau copain de sa mère y arrive et le fait régulièrement. Mon neveu qui un jour a dit que mon petit ami était hors la loi. Mon neveu qui a la mâchoire et la voix de son père. Mon neveu qui à présent se plaint que j'ai mis ma main sur ses couilles à ma première tentative. Je m'y essaye à nouveau, agrippant ses jambes malingres dans le creux d'une de mes mains, plaçant mon autre main au niveau de son cœur, le soulevant dans les airs, car c'est quoi la virilité sinon soulever le poids d'un garçon dans le but de le détendre? Nous y voilà, un homme portant un garçon à bout de bras, à l'horizontale, comme dans une offrande à un plafond de plâtre dont même une divinité grecque mineure ne voudrait pas.
I feel incredibly bad that my French kind of isn't good enough to read both the English and the French versions of all these poems. I had a kind of very bad early start to my education. My secondary school was very bad. And so my French stretches to, if anyone wants to talk about what my name is, or I can tell you what's in my pencil case, or the rooms of my house. And that's about all we ever got taught. But I'll do my best. This next poem is called Screen. At the beginning, I asked you to let me watch you watching porn. I think I needed to see you existing entirely without me, your face lost in concentration on another's rhythm, to know if we could work. I knew that you would end up loving me too much. I thought you needed other idols. Months later, I saw him, the actor from that film we watched, unmissable petals of the neck tattoo. He seemed to look at me as though he knew I'd seen him naked, his body a deep well of things I would not ask a living soul to do. I wanted to shout, "Stranger, I have seen your skin and you are beautiful." He was standing at the train station, more vulnerable than I remembered, much smaller too. I imagined him, heavy with the hope of other men, taking someone home, the look on his face when he realised how timid he was, without direction, how ordinary the unlit curves of his shoulders were. I imagined him stopping mid-kiss, pulling back, mumbling, "This just isn't going how I wanted. This just isn't going to work."
Écran. Au commencement de notre histoire, je t'ai demandé de me laisser te regarder mater du porno. Je pense que j'avais besoin de te voir exister entièrement sans moi, ton visage abandonné à la contemplation du rythme d'un autre. Pour savoir si ça pouvait marcher entre nous, je savais que tu finirais par m'aimer un peu trop. Je pensais qu'il te fallait d'autres idoles. Des mois plus tard, je l'ai vu, l'acteur de ce film qu'on avait regardé, immanquable, les pétales tatoués dans son cou. Il paraissait me regarder comme s'il savait que je l'avais vu, nu. Vu sans corps, puis profond, de ces choses que je ne demanderais pas à un être vivant d'accomplir. J'ai voulu crier « Toi l'inconnu, j'ai scruté ta peau et tu es superbe ». Il se tenait là, sur le quai de la gare, plus vulnérable que de m'en souvenir, beaucoup plus petit aussi. Je l'ai imaginé portant le lourd espoir d'autres hommes, ramenant quelqu'un chez lui, et le changement d'expression quand le type se rend compte combien il est timide lorsqu'il n'est pas dirigé, combien est banal lorsqu'elle n'est pas éclairée la rondeur de son épaule. Je l'ai imaginé interrompant un baiser, reculant d'un pas, marmonnant « Ce n'est pas ce que je voulais, ça ne va pas marcher entre nous ».
I apologise for some of the things I'm making you say.
It's fine with me.
This next poem takes for its title. We know ABBA here, right? ABBA, the band.
Sure.
ABBA. Excellent. It's like the universal language of ABBA. This poem takes its title from a forgotten ABBA song called "If It Wasn't for the Nights." It's not anything to do with the poem. I liked the words. If it wasn't for the nights, I tour my foreign voice through the tin-roofed halls of semi-rural provinces. I barely understand the lines, but the crowd goes mad, and claps of thunder thrum the valley where I sleep, and my lonely haircut cellist eyes the bar between us, and I gargle salt and sleep alone. And back across the border, the man I love is curled to someone else, and they don't speak a word. And outside, the precious bird doesn't comprehend the language of its wings, and frost hums on the weather vane. If it wasn't for the nights, Stéphane, I'd come home.
Si ce n'était pour les nuits, je lis mes étranges poèmes dans les salles des fêtes en tôle ondulée des villes de province. Je comprends à peine ce que je lis, mais la foule s'emporte et des applaudissements grondent comme le tonnerre dans la vallée où je loge. Et mon violoncelliste, avec sa coupe de cheveux unique, contemple le comptoir qui nous sépare. Et je me gargarise avec de l'eau salée et m'endors seul. Et de l'autre côté de la frontière, l'homme que j'aime est blotti contre quelqu'un qui n'est pas moi. Il n'échange pas un mot et dort. Un petit oiseau ne comprend pas le langage de ses propres ailes. Et le givre fait grincer la jourette métallique. Si ce n'était pour les nuits, Stéphane, je rentrerais à la maison.
I've been coming to France a lot ever since I was a child. We used to do a lot of holidays in Brittany, kind of on the coast, and then more recently in Paris we would come quite a lot. I first came when I was about 5 years old, and on the way home in the car we would drive down to the south of England, get the ferry across and kind of drive up. On the way back in the car after my first trip ever to France, I kind of leaned forward to my mum and dad and said, "Dad, why is everyone in France called bonjour?" I know slightly more French now, but not that much. Putting together this book, the poems are they're mainly confessional, they're mainly about my own life, and mainly about two main relationships that I'd had in my early 20s that kind of hadn't worked out. And it struck me putting together this book that the people who it had almost been but not quite, that they deserved a poem as well. And so we've all got those people in our lives where we think, oh, it could have been them, but it's not. And so this poem is for them, and it's called A Gift. For the ones I never touched, for the ones who wanted to watch films, who wanted to talk, who wanted silence and said I talk too much, for the one I saw weeks after, laughing, for the one who served me coffee and didn't recognise my hands, for the optimistic ones who write their names on toilet walls, the ones I never called, for the ones I called who didn't answer, who left our love suspended from the ceiling hooks of that meat market city, for the ones who left and settled down, the ones who wanted knowledge, were curious, who gained something from each encounter, used each other, who took what they needed, for everyone they hurt, who felt burned out, the ones who didn't realise everyone was burning, the ones who never slept, who died nightly, the ones who'd said they'd kill for it. For all of them, a gift. We were young. We only had our bodies.
Un cadeau. Pour ceux que je n'ai jamais touchés, pour ceux qui voulaient qu'on regarde des films, qui voulaient qu'on parle, qui voulaient du silence et disaient que j'étais trop bavard. Pour celui que j'ai vu des semaines après, éclatant de rire, pour celui qui m'a servi un café sans reconnaître mes mains, pour les optimistes qui écrivent leur nom sur les murs des toilettes publiques, ceux que je n'ai jamais appelés, pour ceux que j'ai appelés et qui n'ont pas répondu, qui ont laissé notre amour suspendu au croc de boucherie de cette ville qui vend de la viande, pour ceux qui sont partis en fond d'une famille, ceux qui avaient soif de connaissances, étaient curieux, qui ont tiré quelque chose de chaque rencontre, qui se sont servis de l'autre, qui ont pris ce dont ils avaient besoin, pour tous ceux qu'ils ont blessés, qui se sont sentis consumés, ceux qui n'ont pas compris que tout le monde se consumait, ceux qui n'ont jamais trouvé le sommeil, qui mouraient chaque nuit, ceux qui disaient qu'ils pouvaient tuer pour ça, pour tous ceux-là, un cadeau. Nous étions jeunes, nous n'avions que nos corps.
I'll read just two more poems for us this evening. Philippe did such a great job with this book, and his first translation, which is kind of a real honour that it was this book, and he did a great job. It's a strange process to be translated. There's a kind of oddness in the conversation where I have to explain some kind of Yorkshire English idioms to him. He has to kind of translate them back into French, and sometimes just a poem is just quite awkward to explain what's kind of happening in it, or it's a poem that's quite kind of difficult, I guess, to paraphrase. And this next poem is called Urination. I'm scared of bumping someone while they piss. Those Mondays I'm a pack horse, bags hung, swinging around the urinal bodies, and one day I know I'll knock someone and they'll piss their legs, or they'll turn slightly and show another man their full arc, or they'll fall into their own wet puddle, cock, limp, and neither of us will look, or he'll look at me, avoiding looking, feigning interest in the hard cream tiles. Maybe it's that I dream of being bumped, knocked from my aim by a stranger, the briefest touch during the private act. The toilet is an intimacy only shared with parents when you are young, and once again when they are older, and with lovers when, say, on a Sunday morning stretching into the bathroom, you wake to the sound of stream into bowl and go to hug the naked body stood with its back to you, and kiss the neck and taste the whole of the night on there, and smell the morning's pale yellow loss, and take the whole of him in your hand, and feel the water moving through him, and knowing that this is love. The prone flesh, what we expel from the body and what we let inside. Sorry.
Uriner. J'ai peur de me heurter à un homme tant qu'il pisse. Le lundi, je suis comme une bête de somme, avec ses sacoches qui pendent, rôdant autour des corps des urinoirs. Et un jour, je le sais, je me cognerai contre quelqu'un et il pissera le long de sa jambe. où il se tournera légèrement et montrera un autre homme sans jet abondant, où il chutera dans sa propre urine, malaxera sa bite flasque. Et aucun de nous ne regardera, ou bien il me regardera évitant de le regarder, feignant de s'intéresser au carrelage beige, peut-être que je rêve d'être heurté à mon tour, délogé par un étranger, fugacement touché pendant ce moment privé. Les toilettes, c'est l'intimité. Enfants, on les a partagées seulement avec nos parents et on les partage à nouveau quand ils deviennent vieux. Et aussi avec nos amants, quand, par exemple, un dimanche matin, alors qu'on s'étire dans la salle de bain, on se réveille au son de l'écoulement dans la cuvette, on s'approche pour enlacer le corps nu, lequel se tient dos à nous. On embrasse sa nuque, on y retrouve le goût de la nuit passée ensemble et on respire l'odeur de l'urine jaune pâle du matin et on prend au creux de la main son membre et on sent le liquide le traverser et on sait que c'est ça l'amour. La chair vulnérable, ce que nous laissons sortir et ce que nous laissons nous traverser.
I'll just finish with one final poem. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight, and I want to thank Shakespeare & Company for hosting me. I'm living above the shop for a couple of days as well, which is very nice of them, in a kind of beautiful space, which is like a dream to be living in. And thank you to Jean as well for publishing this book and kind of finding it and bringing it over here, and to Philippe as well for the translation. Do buy a copy as well, it's for sale. It looks beautiful undressed as well as clothed. There's a nice kind of surprise underneath, which is very good. I'll just finish with this final poem, which aptly is called Finally. Finally, a day will come when, woken by the xylophone of sun through blinds, you'll realise that the beach was not the place where horses tore the sand to ribbon, that the scent of him has lifted from the last of the sheets, that he isn't coming back, that it hasn't rained, but the birds are pretending that it has, so they can sing.
Enfin, un jour viendra où, réveillé par le xylophone, dessiné par les raies du soleil à travers les persiennes, tu prendras conscience que la plage n'était pas cet endroit où les chevaux font jaillir le sable sous leurs sabots, que plus aucun drap ne porte son odeur, qu'il ne reviendra pas, qu'il n'a pas plu, mais les oiseaux prétendent le contraire et peuvent ainsi chanter.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. As Andrew said, do buy a copy. We have plenty of them at the till in this beautiful bilingual English-French edition, so you get a chance to not only read them in original, but also the wonderful French translation. Also, do stick around, have a glass of wine with us. I'm sure Andrew would be delighted to sign some copies of the book. And otherwise, please just join me, even though they seem to have disappeared. Join me, give it up one more time for Andrew McMillan and Jean Mattern.